Was Biden the inside man? The political Trojan horse secretly helping Trump all along? Lately, there are a lot of secrets being exposed about what exactly caused the dumpster fire that is Kamalaharris' political campaign. And today, we're going to take a look at how Kamalaharris burned through $1 billion in just 3 months and also ended up in deep debt. And ultimately, you're going to see exactly why hate-based election campaigns are ruining American society. So, 爆米花, and you know the drill. 大鸡大条. Rachel Zegler. 你还记得她吗? The chill as woke Xiao Caihong Snow Brown, who single-handedly ruined Disney's public image without even releasing a single movie.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time. It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But
So she completely dissed the source material, clearly hated on men to the point of even calling the prince a stalker, and even recommended that her co-star scenes be completely cut, quickly launching her to the top of Hollywood's most hated actresses list. And it may come as no surprise that she hates Trump in her bones. And soon after his election win, she took to Instagram to show as much.
I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leading us towards a world I do not want to inhabit. Leading us towards a world that would be hard to raise my daughter.
Yo, you don't even have a daughter. And why write daughter instead of child? Are sons not cool now? This is gender discrimination, yo.
OMG!
May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Sending love to everyone who needs it. May we all support each other through these challenging times and hold these politicians accountable. Your Democratic governors just became crucial. They were important before, but hey, follow your governors. Hold them accountable. Local government is where real change will occur. This is not the end, ever. I will love through these 4 years as best I can. Fuck Donald Trump.
So she hopes that Trump and his supporters may never know peace while simultaneously sending love to everyone who needs it. The stench of hypocrisy is strong with this one. And the final line is a pure stinker, claiming that she will love all through these 4 years, but Donald Trump, he don't get no love.
You are a rude, terrible person.
Kind of like feigning diversity, equity, and inclusion while simultaneously telling white men, straight men, and uneducated men to suck a fat one. This kind of hatred was perfect tinder for the dumpster fire that was Kamalaharris' political campaign.
What is wrong with this country that they would choose a message of divisiveness, of xenophobia, of racism, of misogyny over a message of inclusiveness, a message for the people, by the people, of the people. That's what the problem is. It's the Republican Party.
The message of the Democrats sounded elitist. You don't have value in the society.
They sounded that way, but when you look at the proof,
yeah, but Joy, it's condescending. It's condescending. There is a
condescending.
The way that the left speaks to its voters, it really is
a message of joy and inclusiveness.
No, the message of not being educated, being dumb, and what's wrong with America.
Who said that?
Sonny just did.
The View, one of America's most famously hate-watched gender discriminatory TV shows ever. A group of washed-up Xiao Caihong who shamelessly and publicly engage in gender and racial discrimination, spewing hatefully verbose word salads that can turn a docile vegan into a battle-ready keto warrior. And they only barely try to disguise their disgust for the uneducated with some very fancy language. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the woke elites.
I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
So Sunny only supports Kamala because she wants to see a female president. Huh. I have an idea. Let's do a Disney race gender swap on this one. We'll trade out black female Sunny for a middle-aged white man.
As a man of no color, I really wanted to see an orange white man married to a hot-as-fuck immigrant MILF become president of the United States again. MAGA 2024, hashtag Agenda 47, and hashtag Project 2025. White power.
You need to leave.
they would fire that white dude, burn his career at the stake, and probably even sue him for hate speech. But in the extreme lefty camp, as long as you're a woman with a high melanin count or a man in a dress with a low testy count, then you can express any hateful opinion that you damn well please. And apparently, you can also spend everyone else's money as you please. 别人的钱花了光光 ain't nothing wrong. Because just a few days ago, the FEC released a 52,000-page report of how Kamalaharris Harris's campaign spent that $1 billion. And what's inside wonderfully and beautifully proves that if you go woke, you will go broke. Literally. Chabachide, what would you do if someone donated $1 billion of their hard-earned money to you? 我跟你讲哦, if somebody donated $1 billion to 好机车频道, I'd be making 2 videos a day, turning 好机车 into 玩命光头超级好机车频道 with twin turbochargers, nigga. Well, when Kamehameha came out as a Democratic nominee, in less than 80 days, she raised over $1 billion. And in just 90 days, she spent all of it.
We have to have a careful financial accounting of what exactly happened. How did we possibly blow through $1 billion in just 3 months? It's just astounding, not just to me, but to many of my fellow donors. I've been speaking with them on an hourly basis. People are just completely shocked. And just craving answers. A lot of them are sending me messages of support, asking me to stay the course and to keep asking. And we just haven't really gotten any explanation from the campaign as to what happened. And I say this, it pains me to say this. This is very hard for me to say because these are my friends. These are my, these are people that I've worked with for a long time. But if we don't have any accountability, how could we possibly move forward in an effective way, not only to serve this party, but serve our country?
Lindy Li, a Chinese immigrant who immigrated from Chengdu to America at the age of 5. And at just 24 years old, she became the youngest Democratic female congressional candidate in American history. And she also happens to be on the campaign finance committee for Kamalaharris Harris. And after she saw that campaign expense report, she came out and started spilling the beans to everybody.
They told us 100% that we were going to win. We didn't demand this process. There was no demand of that process. They willingly gave that reassurance. And even on election night, I had someone high up whom I just found out yesterday is leaving. He told me that we were going to win Iowa. This is ruby red Iowa. And I looked at him very quizzically and I said, "Are you sure?" And he just smirked. And so, this is just an example of the hubris in the final days of the campaign.
Yo, do you remember when the media reported that Kamala Harris was gonna have a clean sweep of Iowa, a state that's bled red since 1846? Well, although most of us didn't believe it, the Democratic Party did. And the result, they lost Iowa by 14%.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
I wonder what happened to all that money. I'm looking through the financial reports. $1 million went to Harper Productions. That's Oprah. She's saying that she didn't personally benefit, but her company did. And then millions went to various celebrity concerts. $100,000 apparently went to build the set of Call Her Daddy.
So Oprah's company spent $1 million to build this set for a town hall for Kamala Harris. And then they sent her campaign the bill. And the Call Her Daddy podcast, which talks about fuck toys and fuck boys, is the #2 podcast in the world. And for some reason, Kamehameha didn't want to fly all the way out there to do the podcast. Instead, she decided to build her own set specifically for the podcast at the expense of $100,000. And even as of right now, this episode hasn't even broke 1 million views. And the dislikes, bruh.
What an idiot. Oh, what a loser.
But to be fair, just transporting Harris's security detail could cost about $100K. Oh, and speaking of transportation, I actually downloaded that 52,000-page expense report. And in less than 2 months, this woman spent $5 million on private jets.
But the way that the campaign was run and the way that the finances were handled were just, it left much to be desired. And still, we're 1 week from the election. Our top donors have not gotten any sort of briefing or an apology or any sort of explanation as to where our money went.
No apology?
I mean, no one has gotten anything. We haven't gotten any sort of follow-up other than her concession speech.
Have you heard of issues, vendors being paid, not paid, anything like that?
Yeah, I've gotten calls from former staffers who have not gotten paid, and they asked me for help, including people here in Pennsylvania. And this is for work done in August. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah,
so we're $20 million in debt. Someone has to pay that off.
So not only did she spend $1 billion in 3 months, but now her campaign is $20 million in debt. They can't even pay their own staff. But surely, being a good person and a good politician, they're gonna find a way to pay that money back, right?
First and foremost, we want to acknowledge the fear, the confusion, the sadness many of you are feeling at this moment. For others, you may be looking for something meaningful and important to channel your emotions. If that's you, then we're asking you to make a donation to the Democratic Party today.
F you. Yeah, that's my message to you. F you and kiss my ass. And if you don't like that, fuck you.
The jury is in on this one. If you go woke, you will for damn sure go broke. And if it's one thing that we've learned from this election, it's that the left eats their own. Because somebody who the Democratic Party completely gobbled up before punched a big ass hole in their stomach, spilling their guts all over the floor, allowing Trump to take that White House again. And this one person is probably the most responsible for getting Trump reelected. Someone that the woke left looks down and hates the most. An old white man. One of the most crucial events in this year's presidential race was a debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with,
Where the American people saw in real time that their president was clearly out of his mind. Soon after that, this man's poll numbers dropped, and the media, who's supposed to do their job and prop him up, decided to do a complete 180 and devour him whole. And behind the scenes, the DNC was secretly devising a plan to push this man out. But Joe Biden did not want to go.
Had a little debate last week. Can't say it was my best performance. But ever since then, there's been a lot of speculation. What's Joe going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? What's he going to do? Well, here's my answer. I am running and going to win again. Well, let me say this as clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race. I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020.
And then Trump got shot, launching the orange man into epic hero status. And just 1 week later, suddenly, to everyone's surprise, President Joe Biden dropped out of the race. But oddly enough, he did it on social media, and no one could really confirm if it was him who wrote the letter.
I know you're frustrated, and you're not blaming Harris, but you do go as far as to suggest that Biden's quick endorsement of Harris was a form of sabotage.
I'm relaying what I've heard. I have a lot of friends who work in the White House and who are in Biden's inner circle, and that was their interpretation of his actions. This is, it's just, I understand that he was very frustrated at the way he was just unceremoniously pushed out. I mean, this is someone who has been in public service for 50 years. He was counting on his friends to have his back, and they didn't at the last moment. So I understand it's just extremely difficult.
And among his friends, you would think the Obamas, who waited 3 days to endorse Kamala Harris. What do you read into that?
Well, I know that they were looking into other candidates prior to Biden's endorsement of Harris. That I just know for sure. They were looking at individuals like Mark Kelly. In particular, I think they really liked him. So almost everyone is caught off guard by Biden's endorsement. I certainly was shocked that Vice President Harris was able to essentially consolidate power in the span of 24 hours.
So behind the scenes, the Dems really wanted to put their weight behind Senator Mark Kelly, which would probably explain why Obama wanted an open convention. But Biden endorsing Kamala Harris threw a monkey wrench in their plan. And considering they stabbed this poor old fella in the back, there is only one reason why he would endorse someone who he admittedly DEI hired himself, who ultimately turned out to have the lowest favorability rating of any vice president in modern history. Sabotage. He knew she would fuck it up bad.
No, you're right.
What Lindy said here explains exactly why this man would put on a MAGA hat.
There you go.
Why he would publicly give props to a governor who was shit all over his vice president, and also why he held a press conference to publicly state that Kamala Harris was directly responsible for all the laws that had been passed in his administration. Even Jill Biden, his wife, wore the ops colors when going to vote. And just a few days ago at an event, she wouldn't even shake Kamala Harris's hand. But when Trump came back to the White House, Biden looked happier than a pig in shit. Brandon and Hitler look like good old friends.
What is going on in leadership in the DNC right now? Is it in turmoil? Are people leaving?
It's absolutely in turmoil. People are stepping down. Yeah, and there are going to be elections.
What about the current hierarchy, leadership at DNC?
I mean, almost everyone's going to be gone. They're just going to be gone.
Gone?
Yeah, they're going to be gone, to be clear. I thought it was just obvious that it was.
A disaster.
Yeah, I just thought it was obvious. I didn't realize that it would be a shock to everyone. I thought everyone knew.
So it looks like Biden's ultimate Uno reverse card not only destroyed Kamala Harris's political career, but also sent the Democratic Party and woke culture into a complete disaster. All at the hands of woke culture's persona non grata, an old white male.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
So Biden endorsed Harris as a presidential candidate, and she recklessly blew through $1 billion in 3 months and didn't even outperform Biden in a single American county.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
And the result, a landslide election, lost $20 million in debt, and probably the end of any political future. This has got to be the most epic political revenge story I've ever heard. But make no mistake, the 2024 election was just the battle in the war between left and right.
We've got lawyers in all 50 states, and we will be joining forces with other civil rights organizations and with governors and mayors who are in American communities and want to stand with us against this right-wing extremism. Number 2, you've already heard Governor Maura Healey of Massachusetts, Governor Gavin Newsom of California. You're going to see again, just as we saw during the first Trump administration, governors and mayors around the country who are going to say, we are not going to stand for this federal government attack on our communities. And we're already working with those state and local officials to build a firewall around communities, not just immigrants, but dissidents, protesters, people who Trump has already announced he's going to go after.
So in the next 4 years, Trump will not only be going to war with the cartel and possibly even China, but now he's got to go back to war with the Democratic Party. And you can be for damn sure we'll be covering it and making fun of all this crazy shit. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you on the flip side. Peace!